They can enter through cracks too difficult to seal, like gaps beneath doors, slits in siding and utility vents. And once inside, they set off to find suitable hunting grounds. But what they think of as suitable, inside shoes, among gardening equipment, or under bed sheets, puts them in close proximity to humans. Bites are often painless and go undetected, until the wound sets in. This is a brown recluse spider. Every year they bite thousands of unsuspecting victims. Rooted in the American heartland, they range from Iowa, south to Louisiana, west to Kansas, and east to Georgia. The brown recluse is often distinguished by the dark violin-shaped marking found on its back. It's resilient, capable of withstanding freezing winters in unheated basements and stifling summers in attics, and it can survive for months without food or water. Most spiders use webs to capture their prey, but the brown recluse uses stealth, lying in wait for insects to wander by. With a quick bite, it delivers a venomous cocktail of proteins and enzymes that degrade the prey for easy digestion. Spiders are great exterminators, eating roughly 2,000 insects a year in and around the home. Because the brown recluse spider seldom moves, most bites to humans are the result of accidental contact rather than deliberate attack. But the damage caused is the same. The bites are usually painless. Most victims don't even realize they've been bitten until 3 to 8 hours later, when the site becomes red, swollen, and tender. The majority of bites heal within 3 weeks, but some develop into necrotic lesions. As the venom continues to destroy tissue, the wound can expand by several centimeters over a period of days or weeks. Some ulcers can persist for months and leave deep scarring. The bites can cause fever, chills, rash, dizziness, and vomiting. And in rare cases, they can also be fatal, especially in children and the elderly. Another venomous creature also lives in American backyards, but this one has wings. The vibrations of the tractor trigger a 20,000-strong swarm. The buzzing grows louder by the second, until all other noise is completely drowned out. They are Africanized honeybees, better known as killer bees. And they've earned their name through their method of attack, a swarming assault. This is a defensive behavior designed to protect the hive, its queen, and its young. The killer bee's introduction to North America was the result of human ingenuity gone awry. In 1956, Brazilian scientists eager to create a bee capable of producing more honey began crossbreeding European bees with those found in Africa. But the African bees were notoriously more aggressive. And when they escaped and bred with the local honeybees, they passed on more than the usual genetic traits of color, size, and shape. They also infused the local bee populations with short tempers. That's where the term killer comes from. With no natural predators, the new super defensive hybrid flourished. Since 1956, they've bred with local bees and extended their range north at a rate of more than 300 kilometers per year. By 1985, they had reached Mexico, and over the course of the next 10 years, they killed 175 people. Killer bees were first reported in the United States in 1990, dispersing throughout the Southwest and California, and later into the Southeast as far as Florida. Scientists don't know how much further these bees will spread north. Killer bees only attack when threatened. Vibrations, shiny jewelry, and dark clothing appear to raise particular warning signals in the hive and summon defenders. The sting of just one killer bee releases a pheromone, or scent alarm, that alerts other bees. Soon half the colony, as many as 20,000, can be involved in an assault. Killer bees will pursue an intruder for up to half a kilometer. They'll even hover above a refuge, like a pool or lake, waiting for the target to resurface. A hive will often remain agitated for 8 hours, attacking any creature that comes within half a kilometer of the nest. Killer bee venom isn't more potent than its European cousins. Its deadliness lies in its great numbers. Multiple stings can result in anaphylactic shock, a hypersensitivity to venom that causes a constricting of throat muscles, rapid loss in blood pressure, and without medical attention, possible death. But a killer bee's attack is always fatal for one creature, the bee itself. Once the tiny barbs on its stinger stick into a victim, the bee can't fly away without severing its own torso. In the United States, killer bees haven't lived up to the hype. There have been only 15 deaths. But there are other concerns surrounding their proliferation. 1/3 of all food produced in the United States depends on bees to pollinate flowers that turn into fruit, vegetables, plants, and trees. But Africanized bees aren't as effective at pollinating as their European relatives. And if they continue to spread, some evidence suggests that the production of food could be impacted. As human habitats extend into the wilderness, they close the gap between what was once wild and what is now home. And some creatures that were once remote are now a part of everyday American lives. The deserts of North America may look barren, but they teem with life. Creatures here have adapted to meet the brutal conditions with weapons that are among the most toxic under the sun. Sliding effortlessly across the parched landscape, this creature is on the hunt for its next meal. Suddenly, a wayward boot drops into its path. It sounds a warning and strikes. This is the western diamondback rattlesnake. Every year, it bites more people in the United States than any other snake. The western diamondback's range is extensive. It spreads from Mexico, north to Arizona, east to Texas, and west to California. Named for its distinctive diamond pattern skin, the western average is around 1 meter in length. When threatened, this snake holds its ground using its rattle as a warning. When they're not in use, the rattlesnake's long, movable fangs rest against the roof of its mouth. But when it strikes, they snap open like switchblade knives. Sacs similar to salivary glands pump the deadly venom through hollow channels like hypodermic needles, forcing the lethal toxins into the victim. The western diamondback's hemotoxic venom breaks down and destroys blood cells and tissue, reducing the ability of the blood to clot and resulting in hemorrhage. Rather than struggle with its prey, the venom does the killing. Most bites are painful within 5 minutes, and if left untreated, can be fatal. But of the nearly 8,000 venomous snake bites every year in North America, less than 20 result in death. But the western diamondback isn't the only diamond-clad serpent in this desert. Another rattler also makes its home here. The Mojave rattlesnake. They are nocturnal hunters that prefer the cool night temperatures, so Mojaves often emerge to search for lizards and small rodents after the 40-degree day is over. Like the diamondback, the Mojave can measure more than a meter in length, although it produces only a quarter of its neighbor's venom. But what it lacks in volume, it makes up for in potency. One bite can contain enough venom to kill 9 humans. The elixir is a combination of hemotoxic and neurotoxic enzymes. The neurotoxins freeze and kill prey by blocking nerve impulses to the muscles, causing paralysis and ultimately asphyxiation. And the hemotoxins digest and break down the victim's blood and tissue. This snake should never be approached or provoked. Another venomous reptile resides in North America's deserts. Only this one has 4 legs. To escape the blazing desert heat, it scurries into the cool confines of a suburban garage. There it sits, motionless, for hours. When discovered, it tries to escape. But if it's not left alone, in the blink of an eye, it unleashes its bite. It's the Gila monster, the only venomous lizard in the United States. Its range stretches across the deserts of Nevada, California, Arizona, New Mexico, and Mexico. Gila monsters spend 98% of their lives in underground burrows. But when they emerge, they're hard to miss. Perhaps their most recognizable feature is also their most practical, their thick black and pinkish skin. The earthen hues allow the lizard to blend into its arid environment, and the armor-like beading known as osteoderms protects it from its few predators, such as snakes and birds of prey. Gilas offer a loud warning before they attack. Like rattlesnakes, they can strike with amazing speed. But unlike rattlers, healers don't inject their deadly neurotoxic venom through hollow fangs. Instead, they latch onto their prey and chew their venom into their victims through vessels in their enlarged, grooved lower teeth. The venom makes quick work of the healer's preferred prey, rodents. Fortunately for humans, healer encounters are extremely rare. Envenomations can trigger bleeding, nausea, and severe vomiting, but there's never been a confirmed human fatality. However, a much more common venomous creature also resides in the desert. She thrives in dark recesses. In the world of spiders, she's unmatched and notoriously single. She's the Black Widow, the most venomous spider in North America. There are 4 species of widow spider in the United States. They are found in every state except Alaska, but they thrive in hot climates. When they need a break from the searing heat, they turn to cool, dark confines like woodpiles, garages, and basements. They're bulbous and shiny, but only around a centimeter long, so the adult female is easily missed. But the red hourglass figure on her belly sends a warning. It's a message lost on her much smaller suitors. First, the males mate. Then they frequently become meals, earning the female her widow title. Insects are the staples of her diet, but the black widow weaves a web strong enough to snare prey as large as mice. Once trapped, she kills her prey with an injection of neurotoxic venom. The venom tenderizes and dissolves the insect tissue, converting it into a kind of soup. She then jabs her straw-like fangs into the victim and sucks it dry. Bites to humans can result in 48 hours of agony. Reactions include severe muscle cramping and spasms, convulsions, and paralysis. The black widow may be a beauty, but she should be admired from a distance. The creatures living in the extremes of the desert must possess extreme skills to survive, unique predatory adaptations, and distinct defensive behaviors that earn them their place among the deadly dozen. But the oceans that surround North America and the lakes and rivers within it also hide some of the continent's most evolved predators. Here we humans are in a different world, completely out of our element. One prehistoric predator that's perfectly adapted to this world sits just below the water's surface, watching. Suddenly, its predatory instincts take hold. It's the American alligator. The gator lives primarily in temperate freshwater swamps and marshes in the southeastern United States, ranging from North Carolina, south to Florida, and west to Texas. But it also inhabits rivers, lakes, and smaller bodies of water, like those found on golf courses. These are all environments rich with the carnivore's preferred prey: fish, turtles, small mammals, and birds. In human attacks, alligators most often claim swimmers, followed by fishermen and even golfers. Yet since 1948, there have been only 17 deaths. The alligators themselves are a different story. Once threatened by unchecked hunting and habitat loss, the species was declared endangered in 1967. But in the 20 years following, gators staged a spectacular comeback, and by 1987, they were considered recovered. Now numbering roughly 3 million, they still face habitat loss through new housing developments and golf courses, and any creature this large needs its space. Adult males average 4 meters in length and can weigh close to 300 kilograms. But size is only one of the alligator's amazing attributes. "200 million years of evolution has fortified this living dinosaur with a variety of incredible traits. Its well-armored back, embedded with bony plates called osteoderms, or scutes, makes it virtually impenetrable, while nostrils located at the end of its long snout and eyes set on top of its head enable it to remain undetected while the rest of its body is fully submerged. Alligators can stalk their prey for hours, but an attack takes only seconds. Most of the gator's momentum comes from the thrust of its powerful tail, which launches even a quarter-ton predator with surprising ease and distance. But an alligator rarely kills prey with its initial attack. Instead, it often locks onto its victim and drags it underwater. Then, once submerged, the alligator begins its death roll. The furious spinning disorients, dismembers, and ultimately drowns its prey. Alligators either tear off chunks or swallow their meals whole. Prey too big to swallow can remain in the gator's mouth until it deteriorates. So if the initial attack doesn't kill, the subsequent infection could. Another swampy recluse also glides along the water's surface searching for a meal, but its weapon is venom. It's one of the most famous symbols of the North American swamplands. Some people call them water moccasins, others cottonmouths. Found only in the United States, cottonmouths range from southern Virginia to Florida, east to Texas, and north to Missouri. On average, they measure about 1 meter long, but have been known to reach almost 2 meters, with a diameter as large as a man's arm. The serpent gets both its name and its notoriety from its repertoire of defensive behaviors. Its milky white, or cotton mouth, snaps open when the snake is threatened. A cottonmouth can remain agape for 20 minutes, making its threat clear. It can then shift from a defensive display to an apparently offensive attack, raising the front third of its body and charging as fast as it can directly at its target. But this is a bluff. The snake changes course at the last minute. However, if you continue to provoke a cottonmouth, it will strike. And that's where the true danger lies. Its toxic bite digests its prey from the inside out. But the cottonmouth is not the most infamous creature to reside in the waters of North America. It has the girth of a buffalo, the appetite of a grizzly bear, and the stripes of a tiger. And when it strikes with phenomenal power. Named for the stripes on their backs and distinguished by their thick bodies and blunt snouts, tiger sharks are capable of growing over 4 meters in length and reaching weights of almost a ton. Mostly warm water predators, tiger sharks frequent the coastal waters around the Americas. They are built for the kill, capable of grabbing onto the biggest and toughest prey, like manatees and turtle shells, and cutting right through them. But what makes them successful is that they'll eat almost anything, living or dead. Their finely tuned senses can detect blood in the water from more than half a kilometer away. These giant sharks inhabit both open water and near-shore shallows. They're as comfortable in depths of 300 meters as they are at 3. Prey usually consists of seabirds, fish, turtles, and seals, but sometimes they target humans. Since record-keeping began, over 80 people have been attacked, nearly 30 fatally. But tiger sharks and their brethren have fared much worse. Every year, more than 100 million sharks are killed by people. The watery world below the surface is ruled by the creatures that inhabit it and can be dangerous for humans. But the forests of North America also hold a diversity of deadly wildlife. Animals that have survived for millions of years. And they no longer live in seclusion. A silent hunter prowls the invisible boundary between its mountain hideaway and the suburban asphalt, looking for its usual prey, deer. Then suddenly, a jogger enters its field of vision. A primal impulse triggers, and the predator explodes into action. This cat goes by many names, including puma, catamount, mountain lion, and cougar. It's one of nature's most perfectly engineered predators. Adult male cougars can measure 2.5 meters and weigh up to 80 kilograms. And the vast majority of the big cat's body is muscle. With its light but strong skeleton, flexible backbone, and long muscular rear legs, the cougar is one of the fastest land animals in the United States. When it's ready to feed, the nimble cat can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour, maintaining traction with its pivoting front legs and rudder-like tail. But it can also conquer the most rugged terrain with staggering leaps and bounds. Cougars are ambush hunters. They patiently stalk their prey and then attack. Deer are the primary staple of their diet, but over the past century, hunting and habitat destruction have reduced the cougar's range, increasing the number of human encounters to between 6 and 10 a year. But even so, deaths are rare. There have been just 17 fatalities since 1890. In the 17th century, cougars had one of the most extensive distributions of all North American terrestrial mammals. They ranged from southern Argentina to Chile, coast to coast in the continental United States, and throughout southeastern Alaska. Today in North America, the elusive cat's reach covers only from British Columbia, south to Mexico, and west to Texas. And what was once cougar territory is now often someone's backyard. But another, much smaller predator also lives in the forest, lying perfectly still and waiting. It's the eastern diamondback rattlesnake, the largest rattler in North America, reaching lengths of nearly 2 meters. The rattlers themselves are enormous, but they also deliver an enormous amount of venom, more than any other snake on the continent. So rodents, their usual prey, don't stand a chance. Keeping a safe distance is critical to survival. Large eastern diamondbacks can strike from more than a meter away. One bite delivers a complex blend of hemo and neurotoxins capable of killing a human within hours. The eastern diamondback's range extends from the Carolinas down to Florida, and as far west as the Mississippi River. But this rattler's realm isn't limited to the mainland. The eastern diamondback is also a skilled swimmer and can reach islands more than 150 kilometers off the coast, making this giant rattler a mobile predator. North America is home to a wealth of magnificent and deadly predators. But one species looms above all others. Its massive size and explosive power make it one of the most impressive and fearsome creatures on the continent.
I see this animal coming at us. You see teeth and you see claws. I remember thinking, oh, that's how it feels when your flesh gets torn apart. And you're starting to realize you're getting attacked by a bear.
A grizzly bear. The grizzly bear is one of the largest land carnivores in the United States. Females can weigh as much as 200 kilograms, while males have been known to reach up to half a ton. Already a formidable presence at 1.5 meters tall on all fours, male grizzlies tower to heights of almost 3 meters when standing to survey the terrain. Despite its intimidating dimensions, the bear is an omnivore that spends much of its time feeding on insects, fish, berries, and nuts. When it does feed on large mammals, it's usually deer and elk. Once these massive mammals could be found throughout the mountainous regions of the western continental United States, Alaska, and Canada. But today, human encroachment has drastically reduced the grizzly's domain and its numbers. Now only 50,000 grizzlies roam Alaska and Canada, and less than 1,000 are found in pockets of the lower 48 states, including Wyoming, Idaho, Washington, and Montana. Montana was the site of the attack on Johann and Jenna Otter. In August 2005, 44-year-old Johann Otter and his 18-year-old daughter Jenna were on an early morning hike in Montana's Glacier National Park. Federally protected land, the park lies in the heart of Montana's grizzly bear country.
When you're in Glacier, that part, you're in the middle of wilderness. There's no civilization, there's no help out there whatsoever.
And we started on the trail. It was relatively quiet since it was about 7:30, 8 in the morning. We started walking, just talking loud. General precaution when you're in grizzly bear country is to make noise so that you alert whatever animals are around you of your presence. And it was about 2 hours into our hike when we came around a blind corner, and coming the opposite direction was a mother grizzly bear and 2 cubs. And we just kind of hit face on at about 6 feet away.
And she takes 2 steps back and says something like, "Oh no." And suddenly I see this animal running at me, and it bites me in the back of my thigh. It starts moving around like you're a rag doll.
Trapped between a raging bear and a 9-meter drop, Johann made a life and death decision.
I have to get into safety, and I basically dive up the trail into some bushes, about 20 feet below.
Safe but badly battered, the father called for his daughter.
"Jenna, come down here, it's safe down here." I don't think Jenna ever heard me.
But the grizzly did.
I remember still seeing the bear popping its head up, looking down at me, and just running down. And this animal has incredible speed.
Despite their enormous size, grizzlies are faster than an Olympic runner. They can sprint almost 50 meters in as little as 3 seconds, and gallop for up to 3 kilometers at speeds of 55 kilometers per hour. Within seconds, the bear was back on top of Johann.
The bear's on top of my backpack, pulling me back and forth, and it was digging on top of my skull as if, a dog digging for a bone.
With paws 30 centimeters wide and 10-centimeter claws, humans are no match for a grizzly attack.
I felt the paws on my neck at one point, and a lot of pressure right here. And that basically cracked some of the vertebrae right there. I could feel that was going. I knew that the bottom of my neck had been broken. because the force of the bear on top of it, I kind of felt something crack.
Johan believed that his only chance of survival was to fight back.
I grabbed it by the throat, and I remember looking it straight in the eyes, and it looked straight back at me, 2 amber brown eyes. I'll never forget that sight. Then it bit me in the skull, and then I could feel a tooth going into the back of my neck. And that's when I thought, that's just not good. I'm going to die. If I'm gonna keep playing dead, I'm actually going to be dead.
Having already intentionally plunged 6 meters down the sheer cliff, Johan decided he must fall again, and jumped an additional 9 meters. The mother grizzly then turned her attention towards the other intruder, Jenna.
I waited in the bush. I don't know how long I waited. My instinct was to lie there in the bush and cover myself up. I put myself in the fetal position and thought I was being quiet.
If the bear didn't see Jenna, she might have smelled her. A grizzly's nose is 100 times more sensitive than that of a human. It's capable of detecting roots growing underground and catching the scent of food several kilometers away.
And I remember distinctly hearing sort of the under-breath sort of growls. From there, it just reached down, like bit me around the head, tore me to the side. At that point, my mouth was torn completely open. It bit me on the shoulder and tore me the other way.
Grizzly bears will often run away as soon as they detect humans. But if they're surprised, they may attack. Over the past century, black bears and grizzly bears together have killed just 133 people in North America. It's believed that encounters with cubs, like Johan and Jenna's, trigger the female grizzly's maternal instinct. Mother bears will react aggressively if they sense their vulnerable cubs are in danger. But once the bear is convinced the danger has passed, it will probably disappear into the wild, leaving the intruders behind. So in most instances, playing dead is the best response.
It kind of looked at me over, sort of saw that I was bloody and I wasn't moving, not a threat to its cubs, and just walked off. Yeah.
Jenna and Johan estimate that their combined attack lasted less than 5 minutes. Discovered by a passing hiker, they were airlifted to Seattle, Washington, for emergency medical attention.
I just couldn't move my arm. It was because the bite had gone down to the bone. And my head felt really bloody and caked with blood because there were some gashes in there from it biting around my face. And I was so lucky.
But her father was not.
They had to take care of approximately 28 wounds. I believe there were 6 different vertebrae that were broken. 2 ribs broken on one side, 1 rib on the other side. Also, the bear's claws must have hit me in the eye. Also, the clawing of the bear on my head, it took off 60 to 80% of my scalp. I lost half my blood while I was on the mountain. Also, I broke something in here, broke my nose.
4 weeks and 6 operations later, Johan was finally released from the hospital. And with Johan and Jenna's scars comes a newfound respect for one of North America's deadliest species.
It's just an amazing animal, just an amazing amount of muscle, all in this one body. It's just one big piece of muscle, basically.